Welcome to our 50th anniversary weekend. We had big plans for this year. As we know, many of you did as well. We never thought we'd come to the end without having had the opportunity to gather in celebration. But just because we're miles apart doesn't mean we can't still be somehow together. We as a staff have spent the past several months brainstorming how we can provide this weekend to celebrate La Vida's past, reflect on our current ministry, and look with joy and hope towards its future. To kick things off, we have a message from Gordon College President Michael Lindsay. He'd like to say a few words and give a warm welcome to the La Vida family. Michael, we're sending it over to you.
We are thrilled to celebrate the 50th anniversary of La Vida, this amazing ministry that has become part of the heart and soul of Gordon College. For 50 years, La Vida has been helping to deepen the faith of our students through campfire conversations, stretch their mind through breathtaking sunrise hikes, and elevating the contribution they're able to make for the rest of their life by developing leadership on the high ropes. We're grateful in this season of most unusual challenges to be reminded of the admonition of our founder and friend, Rich Openchain, who reminded us of the importance of holding fast. Taking inspiration from Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 20, where we're admonished to hold fast to Him, we recognize that part of the calling of the life of faith is to hold fast to God, even as He holds fast to us. La Vida has done a remarkable job of responding to the challenges of this past year, hosting events on campus, running discovery classes, and hosting team-building exercises for departments and for groups of fellows, helping our students to hold fast and to stay safe in uncertain times. They've also engaged our local community through socially distanced activities they've been able to run for families, for churches, and for small groups. The Lord is using La Vida in extraordinary ways. We're so grateful for the amazing legacy of this ministry for 50 years, and we couldn't have done it without your help. Thanks so much for all that you mean to La Vida and for helping us to celebrate the impact of La Vida for 50 full years.
Those first few trips were taking people into a deeper relationship with Christ.
I picture first just a group of people who are trying something new. I think of those first few moments of unloading, getting out of the van, stepping out into kind of just an empty field. As you're lacing up your boots, preparing for the unexpected.
Your foot leaving the pavement and hitting the dirt and feeling like this is it. This is the dream we've been working towards, and who knows what's next.
The wilderness is the place where God often meets us. He uses that as an avenue for meeting us in our spiritual life. And so I think that that has continued to be something that we see as an avenue for people encountering God. And when that happens, there's transformation.
Looking back now to see what that seed planted, like what it's grown into for 50 years, is a really inspiring thing and a motivating thing, especially as we're at this crucial turning point in the ministry.
Well, I was on furlough from early May until about 2 weeks ago.
And then I was laid off throughout most of the summer and filled with questions of like, am I going to come back to my job? Is there a position for me?
And I think that has really pushed us to live out our philosophy.
All of us are kind of feeling probably like participants feel on one of their trips.
So many of us the last 6-7 months have lived in a state of wanting it to be over and not wanting to be in this place right now because we're just sick and tired of having to wear masks, of having to deal with a pandemic, that it's been very easy for people to not remain in the moment. I feel like Be Here Now, I think, was one of those things that for myself and I think a lot of other people, it prepared them to just take the moment for what it was and hand that over to God and say, you have this in control and it's in your timing.
The pandemic's been very hard, but I think that what it has done, it's forced us to rethink and reimagine. I feel like we're on a ropes course element looking at it and saying like, man, every way that we know how to do this is not going to work. Every way that we've tried to do this in the past, like we can't rely upon that anymore.
This is not going to work. There's no way we can do discovery online. How am I supposed to do experiential education, outdoor experiential education, and do that fully online? But that was a huge commitment move, just to say, okay, this is what we have to do. Let's figure out how to make it work.
And how do we create similar outcomes with our programs while using technology instead of using the outdoors as our mode of facilitating that?
So the question became, can we do the same thing? Can we put people in a space that's not a physical space, but is a relational space? And can we produce the same result? I would never say that it replaces the in-person programming, but it's interesting reading the evaluations for this Compass program at the end of the summer and putting them side by side with last year's programs and seeing some of the same things. I found a deeper sense of community and relationship with God. I felt closer to my Christian peers than I did before. I felt a sense of purpose. It was almost interchangeable.
All the learning outcomes that we generally have for Discovery, we're still met by being online because we're meeting people where they were, providing that community and that sense of oneness that happens in a Discovery class.
We're in this crucial moment of looking across and saying, we know as a team we can get across. We don't know how it's going to happen. We don't know the specifics. We don't know the steps, but we're in it as a team. And we're ready to face this challenge, and we're going to face it, and we're going to do so together. It was this twisted irony of we are very used to being the ones that are pushing people out of their comfort zones, but to suddenly be thrust in this world in which we were, as leaders, out of our comfort zones was a very unique feeling. And it was a humbling reminder of what we do and why it matters and the growth that can come of it.
All of that happening so quickly together really helped the Vida general community just really pull together and support us in ways that I know they would have done anyway, but it made it even more poignant.
We're having to make commitment moves and just commit to taking leaps of faith to still be here and putting ourselves out there in the hands of donors especially and saying, will you join us?
With our fundraiser that we did over the summer, we saw that there are a lot of people that really care about Vida and want us to succeed. So we've heard from people we haven't heard from in a long time, and also people that have been with us through all of it. They've sent us notes and texts, and they've supported us financially and through prayer, so that's really meant a lot to us.
And so our summer fundraiser was really an amazing thing to see people kind of come out of the woodwork, and even in this time of economic uncertainty, to put forth money that would help buoy us through this time.
In a matter of a few short weeks, we raised a lot of money, and we raised what we needed to at least bring Sam and Michael back and keep the programs going. So in a tremendous time of need, program survival on the line, we had a lot of people step up.
The only reason I'm back in the office is because they really rallied behind some of the efforts of the other staff during the summer, and I'm very glad to be back.
The broader Vida community, especially a lot of the people who support us financially, was the reason I was able to come back in the summer and to test out a new program.
We had no summer programming for the first half of the summer, and then the second half of the summer we did Family Adventures, which was this brand new element and activity that we developed knowing the gear that we had, the COVID restrictions that we had, and trying to develop a plan that we could offer something to at least nearby families.
And that testing out also laid a foundation for the future programming in the fall. It really prepared us. Who knows, without the funding, if we could have been able to pull it off. It was really donor money were going into my part-time work that was going into the programs that would lead and kind of build the groundwork for what had happened then later this fall, of just simply new protocols and new ways of thinking about the activities and the games and what we provide for people.
A lot of departments on campus, because of the way things panned out, they had to create some new programming. I felt like our phone and email was just going crazy those first couple of weeks of people who can do some creative programming for us on campus, outside, make it fun, and get students to know one another. Well, Vida can do that. So it was just over and over. We had so many people contacting us.
That's what has made Gordon such a safe place in this pandemic. The ability for students to stay on campus but still have a college experience. But just looking around at our own backyard and seeing what's there and seeing the adventures that can be had just on our doorstep And then thinking about how we can still engage people and make people feel close to one another while still being 6 feet apart.
People are hungry to reconnect. That's one thing La Vida has been providing.
So even though it looks different, it's still an opportunity for them to connect and come together.
And so the activities we've been able to do on campus have created an environment of community, have created something that students can look forward to on the weekends, but never leave campus and never risk exposure, both to themselves but also to the community at large. So I think it's been absolutely crucial to making Gordon a safe place this fall.
We have a wonderful weekend planned for you, and it's all laid out in the 50th Anniversary Guidebook. Here's a little sneak peek of what we have in store this weekend. And so we come into this weekend knowing that this isn't the way we'd planned to celebrate with you. But we're so excited for this time. We know we may be miles apart, and we, as much as anyone, would prefer not to be interacting through a screen. But this weekend, we're still going to celebrate together. Welcome to La Vida's 50th Anniversary Weekend.